There's a lot of construction on today's edition of Up Close as we take a look at new county facilities on Columbia Pike.
When you just drive down Columbia Pike or you're coming by here, this is an iconic building that has Arlington Mill Community Center on it. It's just such a beacon for the community.
And in Clarendon.
What we were involved in was trying to make sure that the various viewpoints were represented in the park.
Major renovation at Wakefield High School.
In the next 3 weeks, this building is going to come alive. We're going to add 2,000 students to it.
And plans for Roslyn's future development.
The history of Arlington's development is Crystal City and Roslyn began first.
After years of development and community input, the new Arlington Mill Community Center has opened its doors on Columbia Pike. This building, a beacon in the community, will provide something for everyone, of every age and of every culture. As Columbia Pike continues to grow, this community center will help to foster a Main Street environment and a stronger sense of community.
This is one of the most exciting events happening in South Arlington, and really for our community. It's been long in the makings. It is the point of focus for our diverse community in Arlington. We sometimes refer to that area as the world in a zip code because we have people from all walks of life. The Arlington Mill Community Center will be the glue that will hold together a neighborhood that's been in a little bit of transition, but that desperately wants to hold on to the roots that have been established here and that we as a government have the obligation to facilitate.
Arlington Mill Community Center is a multi-generational facility right in the heart of Columbia Pike that's going to offer programs for everybody of all ages. We're going to have senior center here, we're going to have teens coming and hanging out here after school, and we're going to have just a wide variety of other programs such as Head Start for the little ones. And in general, it's going to just be an open center from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. for the community here, and we think for all of Arlington. Before this was renovated, it was a previous grocery store, a Safeway, that had been converted into an 8,000 square foot community center. But where we are today is nothing like the old grocery store. This has just going to be able to serve so many more people every day of the week.
Well, as we continue the revitalization of the Columbia Pike area, which has been decades in the makings, and there are many components. We know the modern streetcar line system will be a major part of it, but also we have to have redevelopment of some of our facilities for public use, and one of those is the community center.
For me, when you just drive down Columbia Pike or you're coming by here, this is an iconic building that has Arlington Mill Community Center on it. It's just such a beacon for the community. It's going to be lit up. It's got this gorgeous plaza so that even if you don't come into the center, you're going to have a place where you can meet, a place where you can just walk over and see your neighbors, a place where you can work out, take a class, or just sit and have a cup of coffee, because we're even going to have a great retail space attached to it, have a bakery. So what it really means for us is a way to take all this wonderful energy that's happening along Columbia Pike and pull it all to one building that can hopefully be a heart of the community.
What I'm most excited about is how we have been able to put all of our Arlington values together. And that means that not only are we serving a ethnically, racially, economically diverse population, and everyone in Arlington can come and use this, and we welcome that, but also we're putting into place our values for energy efficiency, the use in the public land for public good, which means adjacent to it as well, there is an apartment complex of affordable housing, 122 units, that would assist in our addressing our crisis of the shortage of affordable housing. So I'm excited that our values for energy efficiency, smart growth planning, have been put into work here.
Well, sustainable design is an integral part of any project we undertake for the county. The building is designed to meet the criteria for a LEED Silver certificate. Arlington Mill, particularly with its large-sized gym, its full kitchen and the like, had the capability to become an emergency center should we have a long-term power outage or some disaster in Arlington that required offering housing for the general public.
The project was not without its challenges. When the economy began to suffer, it looked as if funding may not be available for the revamped community center.
Well, this did not happen overnight. In fact, it has been, you could say, decades in the makings, and it has been delayed for the longest time. And it came very close of not moving forward also as the economy tanked back in the mid 2006, 2007 or something like that, 2008. There were possibilities that we might not be able to build it because there may not be the financing, or we might not be able to put the funds together that were needed.
The authorized budget that we had to work with was $36 million. We're in under budget just a bit over $35 million. It was funded by a variety of bonds. In, I believe, 2006, a parks bond for rebuilding Arlington Mill Community Center for $26 million was approved in referendum. We also supplemented that with $2 million in infrastructure bonds that were residual after we completed the Westover Library. The board passed an IDA, Industrial Development Authority bond of $5 million, I believe in 2010. And then we received $3 million in closeout funds split between 2009 and 2010 closeout. All that brought us to the $36 million value.
Well, this whole building the Arlington Mill, there was an extensive community process. This wasn't just the county building this space, but we worked with the community to find out what they wanted. And one of the things they really wanted was to have some sort of cafe or restaurant attached to the building so they can create that living room kind of feeling, that you could come here and work out, you can come here for a meeting, you can also get a cup of coffee as well. And that's unique to our community centers. We haven't built that before.
I think that part of what helped here was the community determination, a diverse, very ethnically rich community deserves to have the same type of community center that everyone else we have in the county, with the same policies and the same type of services. And as we enhance them, why not also increase our level of service?
People are going to be able to get here by bike, by car, by foot, by scooter, by bus. We're going to be installing a bike share docking station here, so you can come from one end of the county, drop off a bike and pick it up to take yourself home. So this has a real sort of urban feel, that there's just multiple ways that you can get here.
And while the community center may appear complete on the outside, the county made sure to build a facility so that it has room to grow.
On the third floor, we've reserved for future use. That floor is empty right now, and after we've run the center for a year or so, have a better feel for where the community interests and demands will be, we'll take a look at what programs go on that.
We're really excited to get the center open and get it filled and get it moving with people. We are going to wait at least a year to kind of see what people want, and then we're going to take another look at the spaces and evaluate what could be added.
It's a work in progress, but we've come a long way, and it's more than about time here. Everybody's excited about the community center. I know our youngsters particularly are, and I join in their enthusiasm and looking forward to enjoying this community center for generations to come.
To learn more about Arlington Mill Community Center, hours of operation, and all of the programs offered, visit the county webpage at arlingtonva.us and search Arlington Mill. Now, Arlington Mill hasn't been the only construction site in South Arlington this summer. For our next story, we head to Wakefield High School, the latest county school to get a major renovation.
Hi, I'm Pat Murphy, Superintendent of Arlington Public Schools, and we're here at the new Wakefield High School. And we're going to take a quick tour of the building. In the next 3 weeks, this building is going to come alive. We're going to add 2,000 students to it, and we want to show the community the progress we're going to make over that time period, and also the investment that we've made here that's going to make a difference in our community.
Well, we're standing right now in the main entrance area of the building, so on my right is the main entrance to the building that leads into the town hall and actually leads out to the other side of the building on George Mason. And then on the other side over there is the entrance to the swimming pool and the gymnasium, so they can be used either or together. And between them is the rain garden, which is part of our best management practices for stormwater quality control and management. So a great deal of the water from the roof of the building, you can see in these open channels, in a rain event, will end up in here.
Instructionally, to be able to see that, they learn about it, read about it in their classes, to be able to come out, see this firsthand. Also connected with it is what kind of plants grow in there, why do they grow there, why were those plants chosen, are there other plants that could go in there, what does this mean in terms of the environment in the grounds of the rest of the building. This is the library, and what we want to focus on is students being able to interact and engage with each other and with staff members in a setting outside the traditional class. We're here in one of the new biology labs in the science wing of the building. This is a really creative space for us to use for instruction.
It's equipped a lot like many of the other classrooms here. I see you have a smart board, you've got a number of whiteboards, there's great light coming in from outside, so all those design features were evidently part of the whole design process.
Very much so. Natural light was very much of it. There are sensors that will turn the lights off on the edge of the building. And we're learning, actually, many of the classrooms will be able to turn the lights off during the day, which is great. This is a typical heat pump closet, which is served or will be served by the geothermal wells. The idea of this is they're outside the classroom so that they can be serviced and maintained without going into the classroom.
What do we see as a potential cost savings?
So the energy model for the building shows a saving of about 47% over the baseline.
Right.
So this building, when it opens, is likely to be the most energy efficient building in Arlington County.
Are students going to have an opportunity to have demonstration sites?
There's going to be a dashboard in the main lobby that shows how the building's performing in relation to the weather and the climate.
Yeah.
And we also have, right above here, we have a whole array of solar collectors that will be contributing to the power of the building.
So continuing on with the theme of alternative energy, we're here on the roof of the building. But John, what are we exactly looking at here?
We're looking at solar hot water tubes that will heat the domestic hot water for the building.
What's really outstanding about this is, while this is a lot of the modern technology, current cutting edge today.
It is cutting edge, but these are all proven. We're not doing anything here that hasn't been proven to be successful anywhere else.
How do students interact with these things?
The science classes that are focusing on environmental science and environmental protection, that this is like a hands-on living experiment with solar and renewable power, that they can take advantage of this, learn about it.
And this is really a reflection not only of our school system and the teachers, but I think it's a big reflection of our community in recognizing the fact that we've got to look for these alternative energies.
So we're walking along the main route that connects the entrance from George Mason Drive to the entrance off the bus drop-off and the parking lot. It's one straight run all the way through with a town hall in the middle that makes the absolute center of the school, which was a very important part of the whole building level planning committee process, community input. They wanted to have a heart of the school where everybody could gather. And it's also been designed in such a way that we can close this area off with restrooms, entrances, so that, again, this can be used by the community when it's not being used by the school. The really fantastic thing about this gym is that you look down on it from the main floor of the building, and when the bleachers are pulled out, you can enter the bleachers from the top, and the team can come in from the bottom.
Spectators will be able to come in and get to their bleachers and the seats without having to walk on the floor. That protects the players, it protects the cheerleaders, and it protects the visitors, so it gives us a little bit more space.
And this space is designed to contain the whole school community, parents as well. So this is really the main assembly space of the school. There are all these windows all the way around on three sides from the second floor from a corridor space, so they can look in from up here without even being seated. And you're about to walk into the auxiliary gym, which is over here. The architects designed this very carefully. If you look, the walls are completely flat all the way around with no columns, no projections, to make it as safe as possible. The one thing the kids will remember about this school is the curved corridors. Because usually when you look down a corridor, you can see who's coming here. You can't see who's coming till they pop around the bend. We're looking down here at the main competition pool, and over on the right there is the training pool with the diving area at the end of it. The spectator area, if you notice, there are no columns interfering with the view of the swimming pool. So every seat has a perfect view of all the operations in the pool. We are now standing on the loggia, part of the balcony in the theater. We have about 650 seats in here, so it will be able to be used not just by the school, but also by members of the community as a big community asset in this part of town. Now we're in the food service area and the cafeteria. There are 4 lines so that kids can move through quickly. And in this school, students will be encouraged to, or be allowed to eat in multiple spaces, not just in the cafeteria itself.
We want to be able to facilitate student interaction and student engagement with each other and be able to have conversations and to talk and to socialize in a more comfortable and relaxed setting. So we've actually ordered round tables with chairs that seat from 8 to 10 that will also allow us to use the space outside of lunch periods for classes and groups to come together. Teachers will be in here after school working. We'll be doing faculty meetings in this space.
This concludes our tour. We're right here in the front of the building. What can we look forward to, Chris? What's going to happen here over the next 3 weeks?
Well, we hope to begin moving in later this week to early next week. We will be welcoming teachers back starting on the 19th. And then starting the week of the 26th, we actually have planned student orientations for all students to be able to come back and do a brief presentation in the auditorium and then some self-guided tours. They should have their calendar by then. We've given them we're going to be mailing them a little guide sheet to help them plan their day so that everybody kind of has some idea what to do on the first day of school when we hope to welcome you back. You see about 1,500 students and 200 faculty members taking advantage of this space.
That piece was produced by our good friends and colleagues at Arlington Public Schools. And to see more of their great work and to keep up with everything going on during the school year, make sure you visit the school website at apsva.us. Now, so far, we've seen the completion of some major construction projects, but it takes a lot of planning to get to that point. In our next story, we head down to Roslyn, which is just starting to plan its own extreme makeover.
Well, this is an exciting time for Roslyn, Arlington County. We're seeing significant investment occurring in our county, particularly in our Roslyn Commercial Center. And as we realize that important growth for Roslyn, it provides us with an opportunity to develop an updated plan that will focus on how that private and public investment can be best coordinated and how we can ensure that Roslyn continues to be one of the great urban places in the Washington metro area.
That opportunity has sparked Realize Roslyn, an intense community planning process aimed at realizing the transformation of Roslyn from a 1960s auto-centric plan into a vibrant and distinctive urban place featuring great housing, retail, and office space.
The history of Arlington's development is Crystal City and Roslyn began first. And Roslyn was built with the skywalks, connecting buildings above ground, and Crystal City connecting people below ground, in the underground. And we have since, for decades now, recognized that the best way to develop an urban place is on ground level. Bring people to the street, activate your public spaces, and bringing the street to life.
So right now we're really missing a sense of place. The Roslyn has got a lot of challenges with lack of friendly sidewalks, lack of retail. It has a lot of topography. It had a whole sort of 60s dream of urban utopia with cars whizzing around on freeways above the streets. And so we have a lot of planning challenges that we need to correct for people to walk and enjoy and go to restaurants and circulate through this place.
One important part of the Realize Roslyn process is seeking to identify the area's untapped resources.
What we don't have and what we need to work on are things like accessing the river. We've got the National Park Service and Teddy Roosevelt Island and the Potomac River really within steps, but very hard to access. We have a wonderful bike trail, but not always the easiest to access.
I think one of the top aspirations that we've seen emerging to date through the planning process is to make Roslyn a place to go to and not through. Today there's a lot of traffic that is either trying to get to the Key Bridge or trying to get to other portions of the district that are passing through Roslyn. How do we create sort of a public place in Roslyn for people to want to go to enjoy, to shop and recreate? There are some public open spaces in the area, whether it's Gateway Park or Freedom Park, and they are there today as an asset, but they could be so much greater, whether through reprogramming, redesigning, or partial reconstruction. So I think that is a huge opportunity to provide the types of places that Roslyn needs for people to be able to gather and just enjoy being in Roslyn.
The results of this effort will provide a refined community vision to help Roslyn reach its full potential while ensuring that voices across Arlington are part of the conversation. Recently, 50 lucky Arlingtonians went on a walking tour to get a sneak peek of some rare views of the National Capital Region, which all of us may someday enjoy.
A lot of the neighbors came, went to the tops of a few of the buildings, including the new Monday Properties building that is within a few months of being completed. And once you get to the top of that building, you recognize one of the amazing assets of Roslyn, and those are the views. When you see beautiful pictures of downtown DC, they are almost always from our side of the river.
Those views are to be preserved and highlighted by a spectacular new publicly accessible observation deck that will provide the most breathtaking views in the DC region, and should provide Roslyn with a hot new place to be.
We are a gateway in many ways to the metropolitan area and the District of Columbia. So we have to consider how that skyline shapes the view and the identity, really, of Roslyn, but most importantly, how it contributes in terms of the scale and mass of future development to a great urban scaled environment for the pedestrian at street level.
This is the notion of staggered heights.
Roslyn's future looks bright, but realizing that future won't happen overnight, and it won't come without planning challenges.
One of the key challenges is stitching together sort of change on a site-by-site or block-by-block basis. It's not a clean slate. There are existing buildings that have been built over the past 2 to 3 decades. And how do you insert and infill new development in buildings that are more modern and that fit today's vision of what we want to see for Roslyn, and how does that integrate with the rest of the existing fabric?
There's plenty to do, but lots of potential. Probably in the next 5 or 10 years, you will see a very different Roslyn and feel a very different Roslyn than you do today.
The county has a great new website documenting the entire Realize Roslyn process. So to find out more, go to sites.arlingtonva.us/Roslyn sector. And in our final story today, community-led consensus is the phrase that best describes the process of renovating James Hunter Park in Clarendon. The community had to decide what kind of park they wanted. Who should benefit? Should it be for dogs or should it be for people? The process was thorough, and the result, as you will find, is pretty unique.
In 2006, there was a Clarendon sector plan was passed, and that specifically designated this space to become a park.
So now, the community could plan to renovate the park, which had been used exclusively as a community canine area.
It was basically, a dusty lot. It was like, we were calling it the OK Corral.
Former president of the Hartford Condo Association, Larry Shaw, got together with residents from Lion Village, the Clarendon Dogs Association, and the Arlington County planners to decide how the James Hunter Park would take shape. Consensus between the various stakeholders took time.
It was months and months. I mean, I think the dog park process is probably 6 years in the making.
There seemed to be a desire, or working with a lot of different stakeholders, to find out creative solutions to continue to have the dog park, but also open up this really great open space for other uses as well.
What we were involved in was trying to make sure that the various viewpoints were represented in the park. People who had dogs, people who didn't have dogs, people who wanted just a place to sit out.
County planners were very aware of the population that the park would serve, and it wasn't just the residents.
There are 8,000 people who live in that area, and another, I think, 15,000 who come in every day to work. So already there's just tons of people who just walk here from the neighborhood, but because it's also in the corridor, it can attract just not people who can get there from their neighborhood, but can come from all over the county.
The county did a great job of trying to listen to everybody's point of view, manage everybody's point of view, speak to everybody's point of view, but in the end, there's only so much park.
Well, when the community went through this planning process, and there was a lot, really in-depth community process in it, there was a decision that 50% of the park would be for the dog park and the dog owners, because it's not really a park just for dogs, but it's for the people who own those dogs as well. And then also the 50% would be for access for everybody else. The idea of having a lawn to play on, and then I think an idea of having really progressive and interesting environmental components of the park was of interest to the community.
What is crucial is our distance here. 5 foot? Yeah, and our distance.
Tasked with a design brief that would fulfill the community's needs and maintain Arlington County's green standards, landscape designer Aaron Wohler incorporated a host of sustainable features.
At the heart of the park is what we call an EPIC, EPIC, or Environmental Passive Integrated Chamber System. And we're collecting all the rainwater from the site. Virtually every surface within the park is permeable, and the water goes into the chambers. The water is distributed out throughout the park, and the plants are allowed to take up as much or as little water as they want, which is really unique from a horticultural standpoint, because we're able to pretty much plant a wide variety of plants and not necessarily have to pay attention to their water needs, because the plants are allowed to take up as much or as little water as they need. These solar voltaic panels will be offsetting our use for the park, and we're going to get credits for what we use. These panels are bifocal, which means that not only will they collect energy from the sun coming from the top, but whatever filters through and reflects back up underneath will also be collected, so they're super efficient. And as you can see in the background, we have light poles. These are unique light poles in that they are completely off-grid, and these actually have the panels wrapped around the pole.
Even when they finally came up with a design, it changed because we got to comment again and still continue to hone the design to what it is now.
Throughout the design phase, we found out from community that they wanted more and more lawn space, and it ended up growing and growing until we essentially just expanded the lawn area from one side of the park to the next. And then we have the wall for Community Canine Area, or CCA. And then on the opposite side, we have a sound wall to help attenuate sound and noise from the dogs.
Also helping to cut some of the dog sounds is the white noise created by a multi-purpose water feature.
Although the water feature is double-sided, the water will just trickle down the pedestrian side, but it's actually going to be more of a waterfall situation and have a pond in the CCA itself. So the dogs will actually have a little ponding area that they can play in. And then on the opposite side, we'll have a gathering area and a picnic area where pedestrians can sit down and just enjoy the space.
We see this place as being 365 days. We see it where families might go on weekends to relax, have a cup of coffee with their kids. We see this where office workers, we hope, will come have lunch or maybe work outside or have a meeting outside. And then we also see it as a place where we think dog owners will probably come every day.
We all spoke up, we got heard, they listened to us. It's not perfect for everybody, but it's a good design because it accommodates everybody.
An amazing park. It's open from sunrise to 10 p.m. every day, with the canine area closing at 9 p.m. The dog area will also close from 10 a.m. to noon on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for staff to clean it and maintain it. To find out more about the James Hunter Park, visit arlingtonva.us/parks. That's it for this edition of Up Close. For Arlington TV, I'm Mayo Best. See you next time.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
Did you know there are over 500 restaurants in Arlington? I'm Katie Greenan, and I plan to try every single one of them here on Food for Thought. Less is more at Pupatella in Ballston. The owner, Enzo, hails from Italy and wanted to introduce America to the original pizza, which is 12 inches, has a very soft crust, and uses the freshest ingredients imported from Italy. And they're all fired in an oven built from ash. Hello, Neapolitan pizza. How did the idea begin for this restaurant?
The idea began when I took Anastasia to Naples and let her taste the pizza that I've been talking about for years. You know, I met her and always told her about Neapolitan pizza, but she's never had it. When she went there and tasted it, she was like, wow, we really have to do this. You know, how can we make it again?
So you were impressed?
I was very impressed. It was very different than American pizza. It was really light, easy to eat. I could eat a whole pizza by myself easily.
How did the name originate? Where did you get that from?
Pupatella. That was my grandmother's name. That's what I thought her name was growing up. And Anastasia, you know, we were looking for a unique name, and Anastasia was like, you know, I really love your grandmother's name, and it's kind of catchy, different. So we just went for it, and in her honor, we just wanted to, you know, it's a family affair, so we wanted to keep it a family name.
Husband, wife, and Vincent, your son.
Vincent, yes, he's a pizzaiolo in training. He's only 2.
Yeah, my sister is here.
She makes a lot of the traditional Neapolitan specialties that are not pizza. She makes the panzarotti, which are the potato croquettes, the arancini. She comes out with a lot of other different things.
And we finally came up with a product that we both love and we could eat every day. And that's what we want to serve to people, is something that, first of all, that we love and that we hope other people love as well.
For someone coming in here for the first time, what is a must-try pizza?
I would say the real margarita.
The real margarita.
Yeah.
Why is that so popular?
It's just because that's the real, you know,
the taste of Naples.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I tell people. Like, the first bite just brings you to Naples, and that's what we wanted to do.
Now, your oven is actually made of ash from Mount Vesuvius, is that right?
That's right.
Yep.
How did you get your hands on that?
Well, in Naples, it's just the traditional oven that most pizzerias have.